Way 3 hours of boxing. Of course, it'll be topped off by Lamar Kidfire Parks taking on Percy No Mercy Harris, and then we'll see what Michael Dynamite Dokes looks like as well. Some people say he's down to a firecracker rather than dynamite, but we'll find out tonight.
Well, when you say what he looks like, are you talking about ability-wise or weight-wise or what, Fred?
Well, let's get the evening started. Let's go into the ring to Ed Darien.
Live from the Big Apple, New York City's magnificent Paramount, here at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. As Madison Square Garden Boxing, Bob Goodman, Vice President of Boxing and Matchmaker, and Pat Fleming, Assistant Matchmaker, proudly present Fight Night, and is approved by the New York State Athletic Commission, the Honorable Randy Gordon, Chairman. The referee for this scheduled 8-round junior welterweight bout, referee Arthur Mercanti Jr. Introducing the principals. First, in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the silver trim. He weighed in at an even 143 pounds. Professionally, this young man has 11 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 5 knockouts. From the Big Apple of New York City, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Juan Ramon Romero. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim. He weighed in at even 141 pounds. Professionally, he has 16 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, with 5 knockouts. From Brentwood, New York, ladies and gentlemen, here is Jake the Snake Rodriguez.
Yeah, you can tell who's the favorite here. Rodriguez got a nice hand, and Arthur McCanty Jr. given the instructions. So we'll have Rodriguez in the red and white trunks, and that man Juan Ramon Romero in the black trunks. 8 rounds, junior welterweights. And Rodriguez is from Buddy McGirt's hometown, Brentwood, New York. 16-2-1 with 5 knockouts. Expect to see quite a bit of action with the junior welterweights.
Well, except that Jake the Snake is a southpaw.
Always provides problems.
That always causes a lot of problems. They have more head clashes when one guy's the southpaw, and a lot of times the guys fighting can't figure him out. But maybe we'll get lucky, and maybe these guys their styles will mesh.
That always amazes me about the trouble that they have with southpaws, about trying to figure them out, because you think in preparation that they would see nothing but southpaws, but I guess in the gym it's hard to find them as well.
Very difficult to find a southpaw sparring partner, and unfortunately, Fred, a lot of these guys, the managers and trainers, are very careless. A lot of times they don't even research to see if the guy's a southpaw. You can actually see the surprise on a guy's face. He says, "Oh my gosh, he's a southpaw."
Stop holding, break.
But anyhow, Jake the Snake has ability, as does his opponent, both good records.
Rodriguez's last fight took place in San Juan back in December. He lost a 10-round there to Felix Trinidad.
I was talking to Jake in the gym, and he told me that he's been promised a fight with Terrence Ali. So it's kind of an important fight for Jake the Snake.
Sometimes when the importance isn't on the line, the fighter has a tendency to press and not do what he ordinarily does. Do you expect that tonight from Jake the Snake?
Let's keep it clean now.
Jake had one leg out of the ropes that time.
Well, he got a little assist from Romero. No, I really don't think that Jake the Snake, I don't think he will tighten up. He doesn't have that kind of temperament.
Let go of the head. Let go of the head.
Both guys are throwing some good punches. Nothing to hurt either one yet. Rodriguez in the red and white trunks, and Romero in the black, as we're under a minute to go in the opening round. It was a good right that time.
Nice combination. Put 3 punches together.
Missed wildly that time.
And widely.
And widely.
Widely and wildly, Fred.
I noticed you saw a lot of that Saturday night, but we'll talk about that a little bit later when Mr. Dokes gets in the ring, as you were in Vegas for the Foreman fight.
I certainly was.
And we're closing in on the end of round one, and Rodriguez is closing in on Romero, and we'll be back with round two after this. Second round underway. Jake Rodriguez in the red and white trunks. We're having a little bit of delay as one of the guards dropped in the corner of Jake the Snake, and they have to lace it back up. You made an interesting point while we were away, Gil Clancy, concerning the referee, Arthur McCanty Jr. You said he was right in on top, and that's what you have to do.
Well, he's one of the top referees in the business. Hey, you see the bell ring, and he steps right in there. Doesn't allow any action after the bell. Well-conditioned guy, one of the best young referees in the business.
Of course, we've had a lot of controversy in recent months about referees, Richard Steele, etc., and a vital part of the boxing game, and you have to have good ones to prevent injury as well as keep the fight under control.
Well, that's a referee has to be a guy that can control the fighters, can handle the fighters. One of the things I don't like to see, for example, you find two heavyweights in there, and the commissioner will put in a referee that weighs about 130 pounds.
Can't handle them.
Stop holding now. Break. Break.
McCanty tell him to break, and he wants him to do it. Now he's looking right in the eyes of Romero. That left connected.
One of my other pet peeves with the way they assign the officials, a lot of times you'll find two Spanish-speaking fighters, and they'll put a referee in that doesn't speak a word of Spanish.
How can he communicate?
And they have Spanish referees in just about every staff, but these are little careless points that should be addressed by every commission.
What does a referee do in order to work his way up the ladder? We know what umpires, they go to school, etc. Do they have referee schools that you can attend?
Well, I can go all the way back. I hate to age myself, but I can go all the way back to Arthur McCanty's father. When I used to train fighters, we began in the amateurs, and he would come around and work in the gym with the fighters and listen to criticism from the trainers, etc. And now I guess he's regarded as the best referee in the business, and his son isn't far behind him. That's something to be proud of.
So you mentioned he would go. Do they still do that? Do they still go?
Well, some do, but not too often. And Rodriguez is scoring with some good, solid punches right now.
He's looking for his 17th victory. 2 losses and a draw. 5 of his wins have come via the knockout route. Minute to go in this second round. Scheduled to go 8. It's a junior welterweight meeting.
Right now, outside of posturing, Romero isn't doing very much offensively. He looks mean, has a good record, but he's really not throwing that many punches.
And Rodriguez really comes in with that left.
And the head.
Whoa, that was a good one.
Break.
Romero will have a rather sore body when this ends tonight. And we'll be back for the third round here at the Paramount. New York at the beautiful Paramount. Jake Rodriguez in the red trunks with the white trim, and Juan Ramon Romero in the black trunks. So far, it's been a Rodriguez fight. We're in the third round, scheduled to go 8.
Well, Romero right now is, it seems to me, as if he's fighting just not to get stopped. I mean, he isn't throwing anything offensively at all.
Like a low blow there, thrown by Rodriguez. We saw a number of those Saturday night in Las Vegas, didn't you?
Certainly did. And when those big guys hit you low,
you feel it.
Make a soprano out of you in a hurry.
Break.
Something wrong with the eye of Romero.
1 point of butt.
Swelling.
Point for a butt.
And a point for a butt, apparently, McCanty is saying. As McCanty has blood on his sleeve. And you can see the blood coming off the forehead of Jake Rodriguez. Rodriguez now a bit angry.
And we had mentioned, invariably, when you get a southpaw against an orthodox fighter, you wind up with a lot of headbutts because their heads are closer together. And when they throw punches, they have a tendency to move their head right in position for a butt. And the cut on Jake Rodriguez is on his forehead. Now, those cuts bleed profusely, but they're not dangerous at all. Scalp wounds.
Now, the only thing they can do is trickle blood in your eyes as you box.
That is correct.
And it is coming down. That blood is trickling out of the gash. So his corner will be busy in between the third and fourth rounds.
Come on, fellas.
Mercanti imploring the guys to box, he said.
Romero, right, again, has not done anything offensively except to cut Jake the Snake on the head with a butt. He just comes lunging in, no balance. Now what they have to do, Fred, in the corner is they have to put the medication in that cut and then put a big blob of Vaseline.
Well, that Vaseline
over the medication
helps absorb some of the blows, and we'll stay here and see what they do in the corner in between rounds. And now Rodriguez, with about 10 seconds to go in this third round, he misses wildly with a right. And we're going to go to a fourth round. I think Rodriguez heard the hammering going down,
and both of them they
figured it was over.
The bell.
Now let's watch what they do to Jake the Snake. Give us a little bit of what they're doing there.
Number one, they have one of the best cornermen in the business there, in Al Gavin. He certainly knows what to do. He's not a panicky guy. And you know, the referees take that into consideration. If they see an inexperienced guy there and he doesn't seem to know what he's doing, they may stop the fight a little quicker.
Arthur Mercanti went over as they were working and looked at that gash. Now he is talking to Romero on the other side, and Mercanti comes back to the Rodriguez corner to look again. Now let's watch how this gash was acquired by Jake Rodriguez. Saw the heads come together there, and you see the blood trickling down, starting to trickle, and then it came like a waterfall after a while.
Well, again, we mentioned those scalp wounds really bleed profusely, but they're not dangerous, and I'm sure referee Mercanti knows that. And it may take some time for that cut medicine to take hold. Sometimes it takes a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So it may bleed early. He may bleed early, but then after a while, that medicine should take hold.
Mercanti warning Romero to stop holding. And Romero is also hitting when Mercanti's calling for a break. I think you heard him say, stop holding now.
There's those heads clashing again.
And that blood is coming down once again on the forehead of Jake Rodriguez. And you notice those punches from Romero try to zero in on that gash.
Seems to me that Romero is really not throwing that many punches at all, Fred. He's posturing and he's looking mean and everything else, but he's doing everything but moving his hands. He's just taking punishment from Jake the Snake.
Right up above us now. We're in the fourth round, scheduled to go 8. This is a junior welterweight meeting. Jake Rodriguez in the red and white trunks, and Juan Romero in the black trunks, both from New York. Rodriguez from Brentwood, New York, while Juan Ramon Romero is from the Big Apple of New York City.
And we had mentioned that the styles might mesh and we get a good fight, but it just doesn't seem that way because Romero is not at all offensive-minded.
Seems out of sync all the time.
Just doesn't seem to be doing a thing. I mean, I have Jake Rodriguez winning the first 3 rounds easily.
Now Mercanti again talking to Romero, warning him to keep the punches up this time. At what point does a Jake Rodriguez become frustrated fighting a Romero?
Well, he has to keep his cool, and he has to say to himself, this is another round in the bank, taking a point away from Romero, and rightly so. But he must keep his cool. Just keep putting the rounds away and hope that the cut doesn't get in a position where they will have to stop the fight.
And conversely, Romero is hoping, again, as he hits that forehead with the glove, and again the blood trickling down, but it doesn't appear to be going into the eyes of Rodriguez. Closing seconds of the fourth round, and we'll be back to the Paramount after this.
Let's take a look at the knockdown by Jake Rodriguez right at the end of that fourth round, and down goes Romero, and he's hurt.
And we'll see how he can bounce back in this fifth round, as Jake Rodriguez again having work done on the cut on the forehead. Romero just weaving around.
Romero is just trying to stay. He's not trying to win the fight. I don't think that the referee McCanty is going to put up with much more holding by Romero.
He's been doing it all night.
Well, if he may penalize him one more point if he keeps it up, and then disqualify him.
And McCanty's on top of him.
And the fight is all Rodriguez. All Rodriguez.
And McCanty looks into the eyes of Romero, and that's it. And Jake the Snake just picking up the victory. That's his 17th win. And despite the gash over the forehead, very little opposition actually from Romero, as Gil pointed out many times. Romero reluctant to throw punches.
Just would not punch at all.
Jake the Snake climbing to the top of the ropes to receive the cheers from his fans out in the Paramount audience. And Ed Darian, the ring announcer, is collecting the cards, and he'll be getting them from the referee Arthur McCanty. Let's go up into the ring now to Ed Darian.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Arthur McCanty Jr. stops this bout at 1 minute and 8 seconds of the fifth round, and a winner by a TKO, Jake the Snake Rodriguez. And let's have a nice round of applause for Juan Ramon Romero. Let's hear it for him.
Well, Jake and Romero getting their final words in, and Rodriguez the winner for his 17th victory against 2 losses and 1 draw. We'll be back. Pouring from his forehead, Rodriguez waded through and got the victory.
Well, he knew once he got cut that he'd have to open up, and he really did open up on Romero. Let's watch Jake the Snake here. And Romero keeps trying to hold. There was the butt. There was the butt where Rodriguez got cut up on the forehead. Again, those cuts bleed profusely, but they're not dangerous.
And during the entire fight, Arthur McCanty Jr., the referee, had warned Romero. And
here you can see the knockdown right at the end of the fourth round. And you can see Romero was hurt and discouraged by that knockdown.
And happy, and a winner was Jake